So I just took the beast for a 30-minute walk. It was drizzling a little bit, but as I've already pointed out before, unlike is the case with my mother, I don't shy away from walking my dog in the rain. Okay? And I thought, since, now that I have followers, fans, people actually, really interested in my sordid, quote, story, unquote, I would provide you people with a few more pieces of the puzzle. Okay? Number one, not once during the months, it wasn't that many months, a few months, that my mother was engaged in an ongoing lawsuit against her sister, did my mother waver in her decision to fight her sister. Never once did my mother say, you know what, I really don't want to fight my sister, I want it to go back the way it was, yada yada whatever. Never once, okay? The only thing my mother wavered on, and I don't blame her, is she was wishy-washy when it came to, she really didn't want to go to court. She didn't want to fight Auntie for the full settlement, like her lawyer, like my mom's lawyer, the guy she met in the mental hospital in 2013, cousin, various people, whatever, pointed out that she was entitled to have, okay? My mother was very about that, but she never once wavered prior to her winding up in that mental hospital, okay? And an administrative error causing Auntie to have the ability to get back in my mother's head, okay? But never once did my mother waver on her decision. And Auntie can lie through her teeth, Auntie can say whatever, okay? The only reason my mother even gave Auntie the email address after Auntie was ordered by the police to stop calling and harassing my mother, because my cousin reported Auntie to the police, and then the police came and talked to my mother before, there's no restraining order, but they said, you need to stop doing that, and she stopped, okay? But she proceeded with the emails, and they contained the same shit, right? And my mother read them, and my mother was not allowed to respond to them. She was also just supposed to forward them to her lawyer, and all that did was give the lawyer fodder against me and against my mother and whatnot, okay? Because that's what was the content of the emails. But nevertheless, my mother never once wavered, okay? And that thing with when she found out about how Auntie had taken out a secret insurance policy on my mother, it made Auntie the beneficiary, that was later in the case. That wasn't at the very beginning. And again, my mother never wavered. She changed everything. She had her income going now to her new bank account, okay? She wanted nothing to do with her sister prior to her sister showing love to my mother while my mother was locked up in the mental hospital. Because that's number one. She never wavered. She never once said to anybody, okay, including to the church friend, she never once said, I really don't want this lawsuit. I want to go back to the way it was. Never once. Never once. Okay? That's number one. Now, was she was confused and conflicted because Auntie had all of my mom's money. So Auntie was still paying the bills, even though my mom was supposed to be trying to pay the bills, and there was a mix-up with the mail where Auntie was still getting some, you know what I mean? But never once did my mom say to anybody, I don't want to go through with this lawsuit. I regret stripping Auntie of all power. Never once. That's number one. Number two, when I first came here in 2012, Auntie was not happy. Well, because nobody was happy that Omar was not trained, okay? So Auntie gave my mother this big training cage or whatnot, and apparently that every time my mom had to leave for the day, all day, for hours, or whatever, Omar would have to go in that. I wasn't happy about the poor dog having to go in that cage, but again, I'm in the shelter. There's not one damn thing I can do about anything. I'm just grateful that my mom is keeping my dog, okay? I'm sure, remember, Auntie wasn't, this is my mother's home. Auntie wasn't, at that time, nobody was my mother's guardian or conservator or whatnot, because they would have way more power. They have complete power over you. Even though she acted like she was my mother's guardian, she only had that power of attorney, and she couldn't order my mom to get rid of Omar, even if she wanted to, even if Auntie wanted to order my mom. Apparently one day, poor Omar, went to the bathroom in the cage, and that was the end of that. My mom had to clean it up. She gave the cage back to Auntie, and she said, you know what, from now on I'm letting Omar go to the bathroom on the floor. I'm not going to keep him in that cage. That was horrible, cleaning up that cage. Of course, I wasn't happy that she had to be in that cage all the time anyway. I don't like that. I feel, you know, he grew up spoiled. He never had to, but whatever, you know. But no, my mom decided. She didn't care if he went to the bathroom on the floor. She wasn't going to keep him in a cage anymore when she left for the day, and that was the end of that. Again, her house, she owns it. No one can force her to get rid of my dog. She loves Omar, period. Okay? And that's number 2, because that's important to point out, okay? Nobody held a gun to my mom's head. My mother loved me, loved Omar. She forgave him because she knew it wasn't his fault. He was never trained. It wasn't my fault either. I was working full-time when we got Omar. Donald didn't give a shit about anyone but Donald. Okay? You can't train a dog if the person home with the dog all day doesn't give a shit about training him. It's impossible. There's all kinds of shit that goes on in abusive relationships that you just do the best you fucking can, okay? Believe me. His mom was there too. I don't even know if his mom was there when we first got out. No, was his mom there? I don't know. All I know is I was working full-time and Donald was on Social Security disability and home all day with Omar. Okay? That's the bottom line. He didn't care about training him. He didn't care about anything. He's a selfish, stupid, spoiled brat. Okay? Donald. Right? That's number 2. Because that's important to know. My mother made the decision over 2 years ago. I don't care if Omar goes to the bathroom on the floor. Now, of course she cared. But she didn't care enough to she wasn't going to get rid of him. She loves me, but she also loves Omar. She was not going to get rid of Omar, period. Okay? And she made the decision, because I was in the shelter at the time. She's like, I'm not keeping him in that cage anymore. He went to the bathroom in that cage, and it was horrible to clean up. From now on, I'm just going to not keep him in the cage and let him go to the bathroom in the house. She made that choice, her house. Okay? There's lots of people that don't have the cleanest houses or whatnot. My mother owns this house. Okay? Now, of course, at this point, you know, at this point, I don't even, as far as, I mean, Omar is never going to see, I guess, Grandma or never see Angel again. I don't know, he might see Grandma if she comes to visit or something. I don't even know, you know, if I don't trust anyone, so anybody's pointed guardian concern over my mother, they're probably going to not allow my mother to have her dog. Nothing I can do about it. I'm not saying that will happen. I'm saying more than likely. And I don't trust Auntie any more than I trust a stranger in that regard. So it's highly unlikely that Omar's ever going to see Angel again. And I don't even know if he's going to see Grandma. You know, who knows. That's number 2, okay? Having to do with Omar. And this was over 2 years ago. This was I came to that, was living in that shelter 6.5 months from April of 2012 until November of 2013. When I was approved for Social Security disability and had that back pay. Of course, I made sure my mom didn't tell Auntie exactly how much back pay. And she swore she wouldn't, and she never did. Okay? But anyway, Auntie knew I had an income, so Auntie deigned to allow me to come here. But then, a couple months later, due to crap, because Auntie pulling her power shit, she was going to throw me out. But in the end, my mother got a doctor's note stating, as far as my mom knew, I could live here forever, and that was my mother's choice. My mother wanted me here. My mother had a doctor's note. Now Auntie couldn't throw me out. Nobody could throw me out. My mother has a fucking doctor's note that she was never told wasn't a forever note. They're trying to say that that's true, but I could ask the woman down the street who lives with her grandmother or mother or something, do you have to renew that note every year, and see what she says. It's a moot point. I'm just saying. This is reality, people. Okay? My mother's house, she chose to have my dog here, and she chose to have me live here. No one held a gun to her head. She wanted it. Okay? Here's 3. Told you about my shelter caseworker or whatnot, the one who's been knowing me now for years, and out of, you know, when I told her all about what that landlord did to me, my ex-roommate did to me, how they fucked me over big time, and she still said, you know, as far as she's concerned, Auntie's the worst of the bunch. Okay? And she has a child who's a lawyer, or knows a lawyer, is married to a lawyer. You know, I'm muddying the waters here. I know the truth. But regardless, sending her this letter. Dear whatever. This is all, remember, I've kept her up to date except for this latest. This is all via letters. I can't see her if I'm not in the shelter, but I can send her any fucking thing I want. It's a free country. Freedom of speech. This is also unfathomably sick and sad. If you wish to understand exactly what has been going on with both me and my mother, ever since my mother got sectioned into X hospital on X date and subsequently committed into X hospital on X date, you really should check out my YouTube channel. I currently have close to 1/3 lifetime video views, and the hundreds of videos I uploaded to my channel over the past nearly 8 weeks document in detail my sordid, quote, story, unquote, that unfortunately only keeps getting worse for both my mother and me. And then, in quotations, perhaps so-and-so, the attorney, would have some good advice to share with me. But either way, you should really check out some of the brand new, sad, quote, excerpts, unquote, from my future book. After Auntie, as you know, unfortunately found out about my YouTube channel a few months ago and subsequently devised devious ways to use my videos against me, there was absolutely no reason for me to continue, quote, hiding, unquote, my channel from anyone. Equals, I recently became a Google Plus member and changed my channel name from the more private Done With This Life 1 to Alicia Lives On. Separate words. And Alicia Roll, 2 words I've been blasting all over the internet for many years, you know. So beginning with the, you know, I said, so I changed it from Done With This Life 1 to Alicia Roll Lives On. And I had told her about YouTube before, but I didn't actually, I don't think, give her or say, you know, you should check out my channel or whatnot. Things have changed now. You know, Alicia Roll Lives On, and beginning with the 2 words I've been plastering all over the internet for many years, as in 13 years, ever since my Alicia's, you know, a long time I've been using Alicia Roll. So there you have it, people. This is all bullshit. And while I'm saying all this, for the record, metaphorically puking in my mouth, because I cannot believe any of this shit. Okay? I just cannot believe it. But I tell the truth versus just so many people, including Auntie, of course, twisting the truth. And now she has Uncle doing the same goddamn thing, twisting the truth, poisoning the truth, not, you know, telling half-truths, etc., etc., etc. Okay? That's the goddamn fucking truth. And yeah, I'm going to send that out today. I'm going to send it to her today. Will she check out my channel? Who knows? She might not know how to do shit like that. Even people who are computer literate aren't always familiar with YouTube. My lawyer wasn't all familiar. She did it. The second I played that message from my cousin that my cousin left me after my uncle called my cousin in a frantic, you know, in a panic, whatever, and said stuff that I guess was half true, but then stuff that wasn't true as well. I don't know. This is all fucked. When I was playing that, I said, I'm like, I'm famous out on YouTube. She's like, what do you mean you're famous? And I said, and she wanted my YouTube, she made us say, what's your YouTube channel's name? I gave it to her. She looked it up. But she popped up something, an old, like, Alicia goes bra hunting or something. Like, no, that's old videos. It's from years ago. You need to watch, if you're going to watch it at all, you need to, I said to her, you got to watch my latest videos. Not videos from years ago. Alicia's Adventures in Bra Hunting is from when I was living with Donald and I was extremely overweight and you know, that's not what any lawyer wants to see. You want to see my latest videos regarding the hospital's blatant disregard of my rights as my mother's legally appointed health care proxy, regarding Auntie just pouncing on this opportunity. My mother never wanted Auntie to even, this wasn't a case where my mom was going to strip Auntie